the wailing echo on the banks. The sedan was a coffin of twisting, shrieking metal, rapidly dissolving in the churning, brown maw of the floodwaters. Inside, Eleanor fought with a frenzied, animalistic strength, but the water was a cruel, icy hand, prying them apart. With her last gasp of air, she managed to thrust her terrified son, Finn, up onto the muddy, crumbling creek bank. His small hands scrambled for purchase, disappearing into the blackness above. The current immediately claimed her, dragging her down into the crushing, freezing dark. As the current spun her like a discarded doll, the sound of her frantic, terrified scream was ripped from her throat. It was a raw, hopeless sound that echoed not off the empty night sky, but off the water's surface, sinking and distorting as she went under. Then, through the roar of the flood, she heard it, a terrible, desperate barking. It wasn't the sound of rescue, but a tortured, hysterical alarm, coming from a dark, shadowed hovel nestled beneath a derelict bridge. The barking was not just loud. It was an unnaturally frantic, maniacal symphony of sound that vibrated in her skull. The dog's master, a man they called the Wraith, emerged. He was a silent, gaunt silhouette, pulled from his lonely vigil by a noise that seemed to demand his attention. His eyes, in the sudden flash of distant lightning, were not compassionate, but hollow and strangely possessive. He moved with an unsettling speed, not of a rescuer, but of something hunting. He plunged a long skeletal arm into the torrent, his grip impossibly strong. He didn't pull her to the light. He dragged her into the shadows beneath the bridge, the same suffocating darkness he inhabited. Eleanor gasped for air, collapsing on the filth-ridden ground beside the man and his dog. The dog, a wiry, starving beast, stopped barking and began to whine, a low, unnerving sound, as if disappointed. "They always scream," the Wraith rasped, his voice like grinding gravel. He did not look at her, but at the raging water. But his bark is the only thing the water can't silence. She was alive, saved, but as the man's hollow eyes finally turned to her, ignoring the distant, muffled cries of her son who was still alone on the high bank, Eleanor felt a deeper, colder dread than the flood had ever delivered. She was safe from the water, yes, but she was now trapped in the cave of the man who was alerted not by her cry for help, but by his dog's need to claim the noise for its master.